Smash.
When I was growing up, seeing your favourite superhero in live action was just a dream. We only had a handful of live action superhero movies, and it wasn't really until Blade kicked things off for Marvel that we started to see more live action superhero movies coming out. We had the OG X-Men and Spider-Man movies in the early 2000s, and later Disney took over Marvel and the MCU was born, and it seems we've been printing out superhero content at a crazy rate ever since. Warner Bros and the DCEU started trying to do the same thing, but it didn't quite play out the same way for them. I'll probably cover that in another video. With all these superhero movies coming out and a lot of attention seems to be on the MCU, and to be honest, the quality has dropped significantly in my opinion. But over the years, there have been some awesome movies that have either slipped through the cracks or were unfairly hated on or simply underrated. I'd like to go through my top 5 underrated superhero movies without spoilers, with as little spoilers as possible. Number 1, Eternals. The Eternals movie was a star-studded cast full of huge names, popular up-and-comers, and a massive budget of $236.2 million and made $402 at the box office. Doesn't sound too bad, right? Well, it did terribly compared to other Marvel films, and it's currently 4th worst performing MCU movie so far. And I think I know why. First, despite having a star-studded cast, in terms of characters, it didn't have any huge names like Spider-Man or Iron Man attached to it. The Eternals are relatively unknown, and on top of that, a lot of critics said it had issues with pacing, which I understand but I don't totally agree with. Everyone's attention spans have been decimated by social media apps, and it seems if there's not an explosion or a jump scare or some comic relief every 5 seconds, people lose interest. But The Eternals has a great plot with unique character dynamics, and the action scenes were some of the best I've seen in any superhero movie, period. I mean, ancient sentient alien AI influencing the evolution of humanity and protecting it from evil forces over several millennia while dealing with their own internal conflicts. With beautifully shot scenes and great action, high stakes, I think it was slept on and it's worth checking out.
Who's that?
You must be new.
Agreed, the Warner Brothers cut wasn't the best, but it was still decent and not as terrible as people made it out to be. But the Ultimate Edition was amazing. There were key scenes that were cut from the Ultimate Edition that made a world of difference in making this film coherent and gripping. Two giants of the superhero world finally colliding on a big screen, and if you're familiar with the works of Frank Miller and The Dark Knight Returns, you can see all of the influences that had on this film. And underneath all of that action and high-level superhero stuff, there was a message about a tech giant manipulating two sides / ideologies against each other, which made it very relevant today. That everyone seems to have missed. I also think there's a nod to that with Jesse Eisenberg cast as Lex Luthor. He did play Mark Zuckerberg in the film about the founding of Facebook after all. It's worth giving the Ultimate Edition a watch if you can, you won't be disappointed.
What if a child dreamed of becoming something other than what society had intended?
Man of Steel got a lot of hate from those who wanted to see a Christopher Reeve clone. Superman isn't supposed to be dark, why is his suit so dark, blah blah blah. If you read Superman comics, and I have a lot of them, you'll know that there have been several iterations of the Superman character. Some were dark and others were on the other end of the spectrum, and some were just straight up goofy. Personally, I think it's cool to explore different versions of a character because that way you get a diverse selection of stories. But people let nostalgia cloud their judgment and then complain when every movie is a remake or reboot. Man of Steel encapsulates the essence of what the story originally was about. The creators, Jerry Siegel and Joe Shuster, came from Jewish immigrant families and wrote the story that reflected their backgrounds. Superman is technically an immigrant, and Man of Steel explores the struggles he had fitting in and what happens when the world you were raised in collides with the world of your heritage. It also had some cool fight scenes and character designs, and some of the coolest I've seen in any superhero movie. So if you haven't watched Man of Steel, check it out, and if you have, give it another watch, give it another chance.
Look at you, off to college to be a great scientist.
Like your father.
When I first saw this film as a kid in the cinema, it did something to me. I think this is where I fell in love with film. This film came out just as superhero movies were taking off. There wasn't really a set formula much like we have today, and so the director Ang Lee had the freedom to do a lot of cool things, like comic book like transitions and taking the time to tell a deeper story. This movie was hated on mainly because of its pacing. People felt like it was slow and there wasn't really much going on, but trust me, there's so much going on in this film. And on top of that, it has the best Hulk action scenes of any live action depiction of the Hulk. I mean, he fights 3 mutant Hulk dogs in a forest, and the scenes with Absorbing Man were insane. It also got a lot of hate because of its CGI, but I always thought it looked awesome and it holds up even today in certain scenes. Hulk 2003 answers the questions about why the Hulk exists as an angry, violent creature living inside Bruce Banner, and explores the effect of childhood trauma on adult life in our work, relationships. It's definitely worth a watch, and if you haven't watched it in years or you've watched it already, give it another shot. It might hit you different this time around.
Tell me something, David. When you woke up this morning, was it still there? The sadness.
Unbreakable. Now this one's up for debate, I guess. Is it a superhero movie? Is it not? In my opinion, it is. And although on the surface it seems like it follows a completely different formula, it really doesn't. M. Night Shyamalan's Unbreakable is a commentary of the superhero genre whilst being one of my favourite superhero films. The one unconventional route it does take is the fact that it has almost no action scenes. Instead, you feel like you're watching a movie about a normal guy just struggling with normal issues like a failing marriage, getting older, abandoning the dreams you had once when you were young. But it gradually sucks you out of that place of normalcy and you realise things have never been normal. I love this film because it's not what you expect while being everything you expect at the same time, and you can identify with each of the characters in this film. Plus, it has the classic M. Night plot twist in there too. This is definitely one to see if you haven't already. There wasn't much negativity around this movie, but I think it's flown under the radar, especially as a great superhero movie. But let me know what you guys think. Do you agree with this list? Do you disagree? What else do you think is an underrated superhero movie? Comment below. Remember to like, subscribe. We're starting this channel, it's pretty new, so all the love is appreciated, and thanks for watching.